Hello and welcome back to Here We Tow. So Jules and I are about to jump in the Sportivo and we're heading off again.
Another trip away.
Another trip.
Looking after the weather, you know, obviously we've got it, so we've got to use it. So
Absolutely.
We need to get out and about.
Well, we've literally been home for, 3 days after our trip to Rutland, and we're heading back out. So this time we are going to Whitby, which is a seaside town in North Yorkshire. It's just above Scarborough. In this video, we're going to be stopping at a caravan site on a cliff top with a sea view.
It's all news to me.
Look out for that one. And we're then going to head into Whitby, and we're going to be going to the Magpie fish and chip shop, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Fish
and chips.
Some of you may have heard of the Magpie. It's quite famous. We're going to test it out and find out, is it actually any good? So stay tuned if you're interested in Whitby. Whitby itself, it's just above Scarborough. It's a little bit more sedate. If you want amusements and donkeys, go to Scarborough or Bridlington. If you want a harbour town with a little beach and some nice little quaint shops, it's Whitby. So that's where we're going.
Jet and a
Whitby
little
Jet.
A little bit of Dracula and a little bit of Gothic.
It's a little bit
Gothic.
Yeah, it is. But Whitby's brilliant. We're going to walk the coastal path, see the Abbey, and then drop into the town itself. So what we'll do is we're going to jump on board, aren't we? We're going to head to the caravan site, which is called Whitby Holiday Park. Whitby Holiday Park. See,
I've got my instructions.
Jules knows a little bit about it. And so, yeah, we'll see you up there and get set up on this cliff top pitch and see what we make of that. So come on.
Adventure awaits.
On we go. We're nearly at the campsite now. The drive in, we've come from the Scarborough direction. It's about an hour and a half from home. And the scenery as you drop in is stunning. I must say, it's quite hilly. The North Yorkshire moors are pretty hilly. If you've ever been here, you'll know. So thankfully, we've got a bit of poke in this one. But otherwise, you might be leaning forward to get up the hills. So yeah, just take it steady depending on which way you're coming into Whitby. So the campsite we're stopping at, it's on the outskirts of Whitby. It's a private site. It's not adults only, it's for everybody. It's pet friendly. And I've wanted to stay at this one for a while. One of my friends has stayed here before. As I've said, it's right on the cliff. So we should have some pretty good views. And I booked a sea view pitch right on the cliff edge. Price wise, this is a bit high for us really, but you're paying to be on a cliff top in Whitby. So with electric, £44 a night. That's with 2 adults. The pitches, they're grass, but they do have some motorhome hard standing pitches. So if you're coming at different times of the year and you don't want to be on the grass, then you can go on hard standing motorhome pitches. As we arrive at the site, the pitches are allocated, and there's a motorhome service point just before you actually get onto the site. So we're going to trundle into there and get a little bit of water. We don't need a lot, we're only here for 2 nights and we've got a little bit on board still. So we're going to trundle into the motorhome service point and then go to the pitch. On site there is a little shop and it says it sells sweets. They knew if they told me that they'd draw me in. And there's also a bar and bistro on site as well, which again we'll find out what time that opens and what have you once we get down there. So I will trot on to the service point and we'll catch you down at Whitby Holiday Park. So we've come through the entrance and right here before we get to reception is the motorhome service point. So what we're going to do is pull into here and get a little bit of water on board. Our water filling point is on this side as far as I remember. Jules will tell me I'm wrong in a second, but as far as I remember it is here. And it looks like there's a hose pipe attached. That makes life a lot easier. You don't have to get your own out then. So we'll stick a bit of water in and then we'll go down to reception, find out our pitch number and make our way to the pitch. I'm right, the water filler is on this side, and grey waste, you just drive over it to dump, and there's a hose. But look, the reason I've brought you here before the pitch, look at that. Now that is a water filling point with a view. I don't think I've ever quite been to a water filler with a view like that before. That is absolutely amazing. So a cracking view of the sea. I'm going to put my hose in and get started. So yeah, just wanted to show you that. Right, I'll get cracked on. We're on the pitch. We've got pitch 114. There's quite a lot of flies, as you may see. I think the sun's come out, and as well as us coming out, so have the flies. So this is a grass pitch. Obviously, if you are heavy and in a motorhome, just think about when you're coming. The view is absolutely fantastic. So from the pitch, obviously you can see out, and Whitby's actually over to our left-hand side. We're going to walk that way tomorrow. You can see Whitby Abbey from here. So from the site, we'll take the coastal path and walk down into Whitby. If you are coming, I definitely wouldn't go on pitch 114 because, as you can see, we're actually parked back up to a water point. Nobody else has this amazing feature, but we do. And you're meant to be 5 metres from the fence, which that's not going to be possible unless I'm right there. So we're not able to get that far. So I must say, pitch 114, with that behind me, definitely wouldn't go on that pitch. I don't often complain, as you'll know, but I'm not overly impressed, to be honest, at this point. Pitch is fairly small as well. There's not a lot of room. If we got our awning out, we're going to be fairly near to the camper next to us. So yeah, but as it is, you're paying for a view, I think, as opposed to much else. There is the facility block at reception where we've come in. The bins are there as well, so everything's back down at the reception point. What we're going to do is we are going to get our chairs out, chill out for the afternoon, and then in the morning we are going to head off down the coastal path and have some fish and chips at the Magpie. Will it be any good? I don't know, but you are going to enjoy Whitby. It's a really nice seaside or coastal town. It's got a lovely feel to it. It's not like Scarborough and Bridlington. It's very different, a bit more oldie worldy, so we'll go there. I was hoping to review the Sportivo while we were here. That won't happen because, unfortunately, well, one, we're covered in flies right now, but two, we have wiped out half the fly population of North Yorkshire getting here, so we're blathered. So I'm going to have to wash the motorhome yet again. Right, we will have a quiet afternoon here on the pitch, looking out at the sea and the rubbish bin, and I will catch you in the morning. Good morning, campers. Well, it is the second day now. After we arrived, we got set up, we had some lunch, didn't we? And then we just literally
I can't remember, it was such a blur. We ended up just looking at this for hours on end.
We got the chairs out and we sat out, and that was it. We didn't do a single thing. We didn't explore the campsite. We did nothing. We sat in the sun and had a look at the view.
What are you meant to do when you're away?
Yeah,
just relax.
Relax. Well, we had a nice afternoon. I mean, the view, to be fair, these cliff top pitches, in good weather, these are amazing. I think in gale force winds, in a proper Yorkshire storm, I don't think I'd want to be anywhere near this cliff top. It'd probably be a nightmare. But right now, when the weather's like this, absolutely amazing.
I've got to be honest, I did have a thought. Just as I was getting into bed, I was thinking, I wonder, I know it's an automatic, but if the handbrake did not work and everything went a bit wrong, would I actually roll forward? But I managed to forego all that and ended up with a really good night's sleep.
Thank God we didn't find out, because it'd be a bit of a mess. But yeah, it was really nice. The chap on the pitch next to us, he actually shouted over, "I bought my caravan because of you." He's now got a motorhome, so hopefully that doesn't say much about my advice on caravans. But no, he when he bought his first caravan, he watched our reviews and bought his first caravan. And it's always really nice when we're on site, because we get a lot of people say to us, "Oh, we bought this caravan, this motorhome because of your reviews." And as long as they're happy with them, we're always really pleased to hear that, because our reviews are there.
I always see people giving Karina the side eye, sort of looking and sort of, if you see us on site, please do come and say hello.
Come and say hello. I
So
love talking to anybody. So yeah, that was really nice of him. Anyway, him and his wife, they've gone off into Whitby today, which is where we're going next.
Fish and chips.
I also mentioned to my dad in a text message that I was watching the boats yesterday afternoon, and he said, "Oh, have you got binoculars?" I'm like, "That's proper old person." I'm like, "Binoculars? Oh yeah, because I carry those around in the motorhome." And he says, "Oh, if not, they're good for general nosiness." General nosiness. I'm not taking my dad away in the motorhome. So yeah, we had a really nice evening, good sleep.
That's a whole different channel.
And today we're going to walk down to Whitby. So what we'll do is we'll get out of the motorhome, lock it up, and we'll head off on the coastal path, which is literally over there. And that will lead us, first of all, to Whitby Abbey. So when we get to Whitby Abbey, I'll give you a bit more information about the Abbey. Then we'll go down the steps at Whitby Steps.
All 99 of them.
199.
200.
200 steps nearly. We'll go down and then we'll head into the town centre and see the marina, the beach, and get some fish and chips. Okay, let's get our shoes on. Well, I've already got mine on, but you haven't. Let's get our shoes on and get on the coastal path. The coastal path's absolutely brilliant. So we've literally walked from the caravan site, which you can see just over my right shoulder, and then along the path, right on the edge. And it is absolutely stunning, especially on a day like today. Absolutely stunning. So yeah, we're not far now from the Abbey, which is just over there. So let's continue on our way and get to the Abbey. So we've now got onto the proper tarmac concrete path, and here is the Abbey. I'm going to tell you a bit more when we get around the other side, but I've been coming for nearly 40 years to Whitby and they've still not finished it. So I don't know when they're going to get this done, but no, we'll find out a bit more when we go around there. If you're coming to Whitby and you're not so fussed for seeing scenic things like this, there's actually Whitby Brewery, which is literally on the other side of the road, so you can always head to the brewery instead. And if you don't want to walk up to the Abbey, because those 199 steps are quite hard work, you can drive up and park as well, so you don't need to worry about that. What we're going to do from the end of the path is we're going to continue around that corner there and see the Abbey from the other side. So I'm going to head off there, and that's where we'll next meet up. Okay, so Whitby Abbey is English heritage. Now, parts of it you can look at and get into, like where I've just come through the gates. You can do that for nothing. There's a couple of coffee shops. There's obviously the walled area around, and you can look up and see the Abbey here. You can get different angles of it as you walk around the gated part. So if you do want to actually go and have the guided tour and see inside there, you will have to pay. I believe online for an adult it's about £11.80, and if you just turn up it's about £14. So it depends if you want to pay to see various parts of it. Now, the Abbey itself, you can see another different view here as we wander around. The Abbey itself was actually built in the 7th century. So I think it was around 657 AD, around there. And it was originally a Christian monastery, I believe, or cathedral, something along those lines. So that's what the original purpose was. And obviously it has been standing a very long time, so from the 7th century. Now, unfortunately, when the dissolution of the monasteries occurred, this was a result, which has happened to a lot of the abbeys around the country that you may well have visited. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make my way around this wall as we go, and then we can have a look at that from a different angle. But yeah, if you want to book online, you can book to do, I think there's a museum, so you can do the museum tour and the abbey as well. There is a coffee shop up here and there's a little shop as well, but it is a really beautiful place. So what we'll do is I'll see you around that corner in a minute. So on this side wall, this is where you end up, and you can just see a glimpse of the abbey up there. You can't go up the stairs at the moment, they're chained off, but that's the back end of the abbey. And it is a really beautiful place. So if you are coming to Whitby, whether you're starting in the town centre or you're coming along the coastal path, it's absolutely worth just stopping and taking a look. Right, let's venture back and just have another little look over there. And then we're going to do the 199 steps. Now, going down is always very easy. That doesn't sound right, but going down the steps is always very easy. It's coming back up that's the problem. Now, I've done these steps a few times. Normally I've come from the town centre and gone upwards, and then I've had an easier run down going down. However, what we're going to be doing on this occasion is we're going down the steps, and then after we've got tummies full of fish and chips, we're going to come back up the stairs. Now, the 199 steps, I'll show you those when we get there, and I'll talk about them as well, because the steps actually, I believe, featured in Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I'm going to come on to Dracula a little bit further along in the video. So yeah, but no, for now, that is Whitby Abbey. This is the top of the 199 steps. If you don't want to do the steps, there is a sort of cobbledy path that runs alongside it. I've done that as well, so you don't have to do the steps, but they are both obviously quite steep gradients, so just to be aware, you'll need a reasonable level of fitness to do the steps. So we are at the top, and right now you can look out to the sea. Now, Whitby does have a beach area, and that is over there to that left-hand side. It's also got a marina, and the marina is over here. Now, you can get to both of these areas as you drop down these steps. So at the bottom of the steps, which you'll see when we get there, I believe that road's called Church Street. At the bottom, we're going to turn left, and down that street, there's some really beautiful little shops, all sorts of cafes and things. So do take some time to look at these different places. I know I tend to rush round, but that's what I'm here to do. So take some time, and then you're going to go over the bridge over this water, cut across there, and you'll arrive in the sort of main town centre. Now, along here you can see a number of different shops and what have you on here. That's the main sort of area down at the harbour, which is where the most sort of touristy activity takes place. You can actually see the Magpie Cafe. That's a white building over there, and that's where we're going to be heading to. There's lots of chip shops here, so do have a good go at testing them out. Whitby town centre itself is not just about this front though. You can go into the centre, and again there's a number of places to eat in there, so make sure you include those on your trip. But we're going to make our way down the 199 steps. Now, I mentioned that this was featured in Bram Stoker's Dracula, and the reason Whitby has a link to Dracula is because in the 1800s, Bram Stoker actually came to stop in Whitby while he was creating his book about vampires. And he originally had a couple of different names for the vampires, but he ended up calling it Dracula, and he based a lot of his story here in the town. And the 199 steps featured because when the creature arrives, it becomes a dog and runs up the steps, and that's where these steps come into that story. I don't know much more than that, but yes, I've seen Dracula several times, but I can't tell you much more. So what Jules and I are going to do is we're going to venture down the steps to that street where we're going to find the cafes, wander down there, and then we'll cross over the water and head our way that way. So I will see you at the bottom of the stairs. We made it to the bottom of the steps, not a problem. Once you get here, you're back on the cobbled area, and these are the sort of tea shops and tea rooms that I was talking about, and that's going to continue down this little road that we're going to be going down. So there's a number of places to stop as you make your way down. Behind me, you can see obviously the steps that we've come down that we'll be going back up, and this is the cobbled road that I was talking about. So as you can see, it's not much better than the steps, but I've been up there as well. So we will continue on down and then make our way across the water. We've come from down there, wandered down the steps, and then we've come down the road that runs along there, over the bridge, and then we've landed here. Now, if you want to see the Whitby Marina, head back that way, you'll see some boats. If you want to see the beach and the pier and the lighthouses, you want to head this way now. So where I pointed out the Magpie Cafe, that's going to be along this road, and it will now be on our left-hand side. So we're going to carry on down here, bearing round to the right, down the pier, and we'll have a look at the beach as well. Obviously, Whitby's a very touristy place. It gets really busy. So if you can come midweek or out of season, great. If not, then just be prepared for a little bit of bustle along the streets. But yeah, so this is down into Whitby Centre on the front. You can even go on a boat trip, look. 20-minute sea trips. Doesn't say, well, I can't see how much it is. But yes, if you're interested in a boat trip, you can do that as well, look. We walked past the Magpie Cafe, we'll be going back there soon, and we've come down the pier. Now behind me, this is Whitby Beach. So if you do want to come for more of a beach side of the activities, here you go. And as you can see, there's plenty of space on it. It's not busy, even in summer, this is never overly busy because there's so much of it going all the way around there. Yeah, absolutely beautiful, and with the cliffs in the background as well. So this is Whitby Beach. Now at the end of the pier we find the lighthouse, so we can see that. So that's almost like a point of reference where to walk to. So you've worked up your appetite, ready to go and get some fish and chips, maybe an ice cream, maybe some cakes, you know, maybe a few things that I've seen on my way. On the other side of the pier, this is the sort of old part where we walk down, right up on the cliff. I don't know if you can see it. There's the abbey that we walk past, the church, and then you actually see the steps. Again, I don't know if you can see them, but you can just see the steps, people coming down them and going up very slowly. And then we've walked round and down to here. So yeah, that's basically an overview of Whitby, which is a slightly quieter, more sedate seaside town in North Yorkshire. I did see another boat trip on the way, and they did 20 minutes for £5, proper Yorkshire value. And you can also take your dogs and ferrets on that one. If you're from Yorkshire, you'll understand why it says ferrets, bit of a joke. I think they were free even. So yeah, so you can do another boat trip as well for £5 for 20 minutes. You probably don't even get out the harbour. That would be about right for Whitby. Yeah, I'm going to head back now down to the Magpie Cafe, and Jules and I are going to have some fish and chips. Now, as I say, there's plenty of places to try them here. We're going to give this one a go, because although I've been to Whitby loads, I've never tried the Magpie as far as I know. So I'm going to give it a go. If you're buying any food in Whitby, even just an ice cream, be really careful of the seagulls, because they can be quite aggressive and steal your food from you. So just be careful. If you're eating outdoors, watch out for those seagulls. Right, we're going to wander back and go and get some lunch, and I'll see you at some point, somewhere in Whitby. We've been to the Magpie and we have tested out the fish and chips, so you might want to know, how were they? Well, Jules and I chose to sit in because of the seagull strikes that we could be subjected to. If you use the takeaway, I think fish and chips are about £11, I think, and we had small fish and chips inside, which was £13.50 each, which is at the top end really, but you're paying to sit in the Magpie, look out over the water at some of the seats that are in there. And they weren't bad, to be fair. We both said we were going to go just under 8 for them, so maybe a 7.5. The fish had the skin on it, which is quite unusual, especially in the north of England. To my knowledge, and I've lived here 46 years, I've never been to a fish and chip shop and had skin on fish and chips. I know in the south I have had them where they've cooked the fish with the skin on. but the batter was really good, and the chips were maybe for me what let it down a bit. But Whitby, Magpie, if you want to give that a go, there's obviously a lot of chip shops here, so you know, do choose wisely. We have now walked back up the 199 steps, so we're not in too bad a shape. We got up there no problem, and we're just back up here. The Abbey's just behind us, and there's that view again from up here. So there we go. So that has been our wander around Whitby, the town, and seeing the beach and going down the pier. Jules and I are going to make our way back to the Whitby Holiday Park, and that's where we'll see you next. We've made it back to the pitch. There you go. So that was our trip to Whitby, stopping at Whitby Holiday Park. What would I say about the park? First of all, it's not bad, to be fair. I think what you're paying for is the fact you're on a cliff top with a view like this, and you can walk to Whitby on that coastal path. It's not an accessible path. You do have to go up some steps before you then get onto the flat, so just be aware of that. But that is what you're basically paying for. Midweek or out of school holidays, this is going to be obviously adults generally, so maybe a little bit quieter. School holidays, it's going to be busy. I can tell this place must be packed, and probably on weekends. The facilities, I've been in the facilities block. They're a little bit tired, but they're perfectly usable. Plenty of showers, so not too bad. There is the on-site shop and that bar and bistro as well that's here too. But for Jules and I, it's just been a great base to sit and look at the sea and then go down into Whitby. Hopefully you've enjoyed having a look around Whitby with us. There's loads more to see in Whitby than just that. So obviously do your own research and make sure that you find the right places for you to visit. For me, it's obviously ice cream, fish and chips and rock shops, but I'm not very classy, as you know. Jules and I, we're here tonight. We have a quiet afternoon, looking at the sea again. And then tomorrow we are heading on to our next stop. We're going to Northumberland next. So we're going to be going up to Northumberland. And then a little bit later in the month, we're going to be going to Lincolnshire, the Lincolnshire coast. Not Skegness, don't get excited. We're not going to Skeg Vegas, but we're going to go to Lincolnshire. So yeah, Northumberland and Lincolnshire next. Thank you for watching, as always. We do really appreciate it. If you've got any questions or comments, please do put them down there, and I'll do my best to answer them, or just make up an answer that sounds right. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.